clarify the rules, do you think that the way that Planned Parenthood has been handling those remains right now falls under the law, that the law is vague, that they could be not in violation of that regulation?
You know, I think if we look at the Attorney General's report, I think the Attorney General has concluded that they have not. So I think that it's he who needs to make that definitional distinction. We're simply taking his information and going to take it and clarify how we're handling it.
So you're saying that no other hospital or other medical entity besides abortion clinics uses this method to dispose of human tissue?
My understanding from what the Attorney General has indicated is that no, that's correct. That they are disposing of them differently.
The Attorney General actually couldn't answer that question. He said he didn't know. So my
Thank you.
question to you is, if you guys have researched this and you're telling us that that's not how medical facilities do it, I'm curious your basis for that.
Just simply the Attorney General's information.
And if I might add, whether or not that is the case, this bill seeks to unify and provide a uniform approach to this, regardless of the institution, whether it's a hospital or whether it is a clinic. And so it's just a sense of clarifying and, again, bringing more specificity to the process.
What would be the penalties associated with the bill for a violation? Could this be something used against the license for the facility?
I am not going to answer that, but I know that Representative McColley has perhaps something in his bill regarding that.
The only penalty that's associated with a violation of our bill would be a misdemeanor of the first degree.
And that violation would be against the clinic in general?
Yes. Well, it would be against the clinic, but also any individual who knowingly violated this section through their individual conduct would be able to be charged under this.
So this would not be grounds to revoke the license?
Unless there's, it's not specifically mentioned in the bill that this could revoke somebody's license. However, there could be something by the licensing authority that I'm not aware of that could use it as a basis, I suppose.
So any individual knowingly violating this section, could that include the woman not deciding one way or the other?
No,
Okay.
no, it couldn't. Actually, there's a piece in this section, or in the legislation, that does discuss in the event that there's not an election made or a decision made within a reasonable amount of time. Under that circumstance, then the clinic would choose the final disposition, but it would still be subject to the same rules of proper burial or cremation.
Once the fetuses have been either buried or, I guess I'm looking for, are you talking about literally cemeteries just for aborted fetuses?
That's something that we would likely, I would imagine, be addressed in the administrative rules. It's something that will probably be looked into through their rulemaking authority process.
Marked plots for each child, or would the fetuses be buried together?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would suggest to you we don't have that answer yet. Certainly that's something that's going to be part of the conversation between the Department of Health, the Attorney General, and the legislature as we determine the best way to handle that.
And Representative, did you say, I'm sorry, was there penalties for under your bill or no?
No, our piece of legislation simply declares and requires the Department of Health to draft the rules. Their legislation will handle the penalty phase of it. It seemed to simplify things, not to have two different pieces of legislation having penalties within them.
Do you spell out where the ashes would go if they choose cremation?
No. That would
I
be,
think, again, that is under the same category as to whether there would be special burial grounds for them. Those things will probably be determined as we move forward, remembering that we received this news, just like you, towards the end of this past weekend. So we've been working over the weekend to develop this legislation. More details will be coming out as we move forward.
Are you aware of
I'd
any?
suggest, though, that we won't be reinventing the wheels. Hospitals are already cremating stillborns and so we'll be probably following that suit.
Question for any of you. Planned Parenthood says this is part of a political agenda.